Cousin Sal's winning weekend. Hey, I'm here to help you cure that Halloween hangover with winning bets. Wow, what a show we have for you today. I'm shocked FanDuel TV didn't flex this to primetime. We've had Super Bowl MVPs on the show. We've had Hall of Famers on the show, but today we've got an Oscar winner. Matthew McConaughey will join us. Yes, it's our very own Rom conversation of sports betting, Texas football, and Matthew's plans on making another sports movie. Then, almost as handsome from the Against All Odds podcast, Brother Bry will join me to break down all the Week 9 NFL games, including a potentially great one in Green Bay between the Packers and Lions. But now, let's get into the hottest segment in all of sports betting. I've hit 3 in a row, and here I go with another irrationally angry attempt to make rational sense of a somewhat irrational bet. It's Wager Rager. All right, I have to admit, I'm still amped from National Tight Ends Day. What a party that was. Last Sunday, tight ends on their beloved fake holiday set a new single-day record for receptions and touchdowns. Taylor Swift wore extra bright red lipstick to commemorate the event, and we're going to keep the tight end extravaganza going here in this week's Wager Rager segment. I'm focusing on Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts. He's come back from the dead. His yardage total on FanDuel Sportsbook is 48.5, and we're going to go over just like he has in 5 of his last 6 games, averaging 62 yards a game over that span. He's playing against my miserable Cowboys defense, which, let's face it, they're the real Pitts in this equation. All right, let's bring in our guest. He's an Oscar winner and hands down the coolest professor at the University of Texas. His New York Times best-selling book, Green Lights, comes out in paperback November 12th. Here he is. Wow, this show just got a tiny bit sexier because the great Matthew McConaughey is with us. What's happening, Matthew?
Hey, I just got back from class at the University of Texas. I just had a 3-hour session this morning. So I'm out of class. I passed. Now I'm here with you. We good.
You did. Nice. Excellent. And that's going good, huh? Did you ever think you'd be a professor after all these years?
Yeah. Oh, man. I think I always liked the idea of teaching, but this was just something since I've been acting for 35 years.
Yeah.
After 25 of those years, I was like, damn, the final picture that's on the screen in the theater is very different from the original script I read of every movie I've ever done. So I said, what's the class I wish I would have been taught is that, hey, it's different. There's a process for the script goes through to make it to screen. Things happen, things get cut, things get added. What if I taught a class on that? And that's what I'm doing.
I love it. Now, I want to get to your book and Texas football and your tequila and everything else, but I do want to ask you about Halloween. What is it like at the McConaughey house? Are you giving out candy? Do you dress up? Is it understated?
Yeah, I try to get away. I think I try to get away with it being understated, but my daughter doesn't allow it. It's her favorite holiday. We were a little tardy in getting the stuff outside to scare the trick-or-treaters up, but it's up. They're all ghost hanging from the trees. The skeletons are nailed to the trees, et cetera, et cetera. Look, we won't do an open trick-or-treat at our house just because for some privacy and security reasons. We'll go trick-or-treating.
What about you growing up? Were you more of do you remember any of your costumes? Were you more of like a Shazam guy, or did everyone in the neighborhood do Earl Campbell? What's that?
I was Incredible Hulk. I was Chris Berger. I was John Riggins. But Incredible Hulk seemed to be my go-to. He was always my favorite superhero. Plus, East Texas, October 31st. It's not that cold. It's still hot, so you can get away with a pair of cutoff shorts and paint yourself green and not be too cold.
I love it. Of course, that's the go-to. All right, now this is, we talk sports betting a lot on this show, and one of my favorite Matthew McConaughey movies is Two for the Money, and Rene Russo. That was a fun time, right? Al Pacino plays this, like this handicapping legend. He's a tout, and you also are known, he takes you under his wing, but you know how to pick games until you don't know how to pick games, and then there's like a twist at the end. I'm not going to give it away. But I'm interested to know how much you got the lingo down exactly. I rewatched it the other night. What did you do to research this role?
Listen to a lot of so-called pro pickers that actually, obviously they know it. That's the whole game. And what they knew and what they know. My brother had a great tout service. My brother, check this out. My brother, Pat, had a tout service that went 27-0 over 4 weekends. Wow. So we were all jumping on his bandwagon, right? And of course, this guy, they get the diamond pick this weekend. It's a little unknown college football game. You got the Boston College, and they're playing somebody like Bowling Green or somebody, like one of those games that's not even on the network, not even on TV. You have to find it. And it was the diamond pick. I know somebody was getting Boston College was good, like 18 or something. This guy was the lead pipe cinch. And Pat, I'm telling you, all the money I've made for you so far, we're going to load it all up on this one because this one's the lead pipe cinch. Of course, that 18-point favorite, I think Boston College was, they got beat outright, and I lost it all. But you hear everything from the, which dog bowl does the dog go to, which isn't as fun as actually having reasons to know it, which
right
as a gamer, man. When we know it, we have some little detail or a few details that we're like, this is what no one else is thinking about. This is what's going to matter. For me, I love the intangibles. The East Coast, West Coast travel, the jet lag time, the Brett Favre on Monday Night Football the weekend after his father moved on. He's going to be playing for more than the game. When someone has a newborn, a star player has a newborn, you can expect a great game from him because now they're looking for more as well. So, then you got something like Jameis Winston comes in for the Browns. Sure. Deshaun's the man. We've got all this money. He's out. Jameis Winston. Oh, is that where he was? Was he over there in Cleveland? Didn't even know he was in the 2-hole there. Comes on, nothing to lose. Let's go, and goes out and wins it. Those intangibles are what's fun to know. So, I listened to a lot of guys who knew it, but if they knew it, they probably wouldn't have been working the day job that they were working in at the time I talked to them.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. And it's funny. I wish I had your brother's tout at the time because I had all these. I got on a sucker list and they would call me and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to eat now. They're like, oh, are you eating lobster? Because you will eat lobster if you listen to my 5-star lock, because they always had something stupid too. There's the intangibles that you talk about, but then there's like, listen, the whole team got food poisoning eating clam chowder. They're keeping it under wraps, but Rutgers is the pick this week. And then, of course,
at the house on it.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
love it. Isn't that it? When we're right, and when they're right, they're genius. And didn't bet enough on it, even though you leveraged the whole house. You could have bet more.
What's the biggest bet you made? Do you remember?
Biggest bet I've ever made?
Yeah,
$5,000.
$5,000. Do you remember? Was it a winner or a loser?
It was a victory.
Okay, good.
It was a victory. Yeah, I was.
See, it's funny. I asked that question, and most of the time people would say, "I said $5,000." You said, "Did it win or lose?" If you said win, it's surprising that you didn't up the stakes. I could see people learning a lesson. Oh, 5,000, I lost. I'll never do it again. But you went out as a winner as your top bet.
I did go out as a winner on my top bet. Look, what I do is I'll bet I bet $100 here is my dollar here, dollar there, to basically buy a ticket to the game. Basically, so I will watch that game, be more interested, more than just it being in the background. Root, talk, be interested, have a great enthusiasm, excitement for when the refs make a bad call and this thing's fixed, or if it's going my way, I knew it, and it's a hell of a lot more entertaining day. My brother and I will every couple of years go to Vegas and do a weekend where we don't bet anything that takes away our life savings, but we bet enough to get a buzz on every single game, and then we tally up our record at the end of the weekend. I don't know if you read. I had the story in Green Lights. Man, we went there that second time the Cowboys faced the Bills. In the Super Bowl. And he and I had played blackjack the night before and just rolled, dominated. Got out of there feeling real. Came out at sunrise. It was daylight, and we had a lot of chips in the pocket, which turned into cash. Well, that day, as that line kept going up, we just started getting infatuated with the Bills. That's something we did. And we started loading up on everything. Andre Reed, 8-1 more than Michael Irvin. Every Bruce, what's his name? Bruce, who's a defense.
Bruce Smith on defense.
Bruce Smith, MVP, 24. We loaded up on all kinds of intangibles. Plus, we got a bloated line. And the Bills were up at halftime. Of course, we were dancing, buying doubles. And you know what happened in the next two quarters.
Yeah. I was, Bills were up 13-6. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I remember this well. And I had to go take a walk because I was like, where is this offense? And then did you bet on Thurman Thomas for getting his helmet at any point in the game? Because that might have paid like 35-1 or something.
No, that might have been more than that. No, I didn't.
I do want to, one of your other great movies, We Are Marshall. You played Coach Jack Langle. I'm sure you studied him. And is there any sports figure out there that you'd want to play or wish you had played back in the day?
Now, my buddy and I, Cole Hauser, who plays Rip in Yellowstone, we're working on a two brothers that become successful head coaches. Not really based on the Harbaugh, but similar to that brothers that end up coaching against each other. Script. I've always been a Redskin / Commander fan, and he's always Cole's always been a Raider fan. You've got guys like your owner of the Raiders, who's quite a character. You've got Joe Gibbs, who was such a great coach for the Redskins at the time. And GMs and head coaches are kind of a little bit more interesting, obviously, being of my age now today. How do you build a dynasty? What was it? How many dynasties are left out there? The last really successful dynasty be what? The Patriots?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Chiefs are giving them a run now, but yeah.
Chiefs are damn sure giving them a run. Yeah, in a different way. At the same time, they still seem to be kind of plug and play. But what creates? I'm not ready to give up on there being any new dynasties still out there, or any teams that are now can become a dynasty, a successful dynasty. What's that coach do? What's that GM do? What's that system of business? What's that system of play? And how can you sustain that long term? So GMs and coaches are what I'm more interested in playing now.
Well, the Raiders are certainly not on their way to creating a dynasty, but I would love for you to play Mark Davis, just to wear that hair for 3 months or whatever it would take.
The hair's great.
Spectacular. You are a Commanders fan, maybe close to getting in that dynasty conversation. I feel like they got the monkey off their back at least, right?
Look who's 6-2.
Yeah. How exciting was that Hail Mary?
What was the over-under that at the beginning of the season?
Well, I did have them to make the playoffs. I think their over-under wins was like 7 or something. They're right there. Yeah, they're probably a game away from hitting their projected total. But that Hail Mary, you must have been out of your mind last week.
Good. I mean, sometimes you got the magic going. Sometimes you're good and you got the magic going. And right now we got both happening. Yeah, there's a whole different set of belief over there in the Commander system right now. And very exciting times. I had my Hail hat on yesterday. Hail.
Yes, I saw that.
I had that. I've got I gave my son, and geez, he's about to outgrow it. He's 11. I gave him my it was a Redskin jacket. It was like the Letterman jacket that I had since I was 4. And a little big then, and my son's kind of grown out of it. But I've got some old memorabilia. I was at the last game at RFK. I've got burgundy soil from the end zone. I was at the first game at Jack Kent Cooke, first game at FedEx.
Wow.
And I sang the national anthem on the sidelines with John Riggins.
Oh, what a dream. I mean, your old Halloween costume. That's
come on, man.
Yeah. Now you have to do it with the Hulk. I don't know how you're going to figure that out, but
hey,
a duet. That's beautiful.
Wear the Redskin uni painted green. Not about to look.
I love it. All right, listen, Matthew, we have to take a quick break. I want to ask you about Texas Longhorns football. That team's contending for a championship. We got lots more with Matthew McConaughey next on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. All right. Welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. We're here with Matthew McConaughey. He's a big fan of the show, so we finally let him come on. I appreciate you doing that, Matthew. Yes. Hey, Terry Bradshaw came on my cousin Jimmy Kimmel's show the other day and told a story about the time you were in Failure to Launch together, right? And he told the story about how you wanted him to put a penis sock on, and he wouldn't do it. Do you remember this at all, or has Terry completely lost his mind?
He's lost his mind. I don't know. When was it ever found? Yeah. The other thing was he tell you the story about, he shows his bare backside in that thing. And he was so damn concerned, and maybe still is. I think he's still in the doghouse with his mom for doing that.
Yeah.
That he crossed the line there. And I remember him kind of almost regretting that he did it. I was like, man, the humor's good. Won't you just appreciate the humor? He was like, no, I'm in trouble, man. I'm in trouble. I can't believe I did that. They didn't ask him to put a penis on.
He went into this whole thing about how he had to try, and there were various sizes of the penis socks, and he couldn't find the right one.
Who knows what Uncle Terry's talking about?
Uncle Terry needs to lay down. All right, listen, let's talk Texas football. 7-1, ranked number 6. Only loss was to Georgia. I feel like you came out flat. I'm sure your eyes were glued to the TV, and then by the time
I was on the sideline.
Yeah, that's right. And by the time he got going, I think it was just a little too late. But are there any concerns, or is it a lot less aggravating knowing that you're almost certainly going to make the playoffs?
Look, there's got to be concerns because we didn't play up to our ability. We didn't play against how great we actually believe we can be. We knew that was going to be a hell of a tough game. They were more up to it than we were. Do I have concerns? I don't have concerns. I believe we got the right head coach in place. We got the right staff, and I believe we got a damn good team. We're very versatile. We can beat you in many different ways. Our twos, the downfall from our twos to our ones is a very small gap, not only at quarterback, but all across the field. At the same time, those ones have to still go play special and play really great games for us to get where we want to go. We will recompose. I trust Sark's got us recompose and get the mental edge back. I think we did kind of, I'm not going to say cruise through the first 6, however many games. We won pretty handily. We kind of rolled,
Yeah.
And I think maybe the feeling was, we'll keep that rhythm going. And we came out against somebody who just punched us in the mouth right off the bat. And we weren't up to it as we needed to be.
Boy, you're right about the SEC, and just there's no relief. You can't come up for water. There's no back-to-back weeks. I mean, Alabama already on the outside looking in. I said it's easy to make the playoffs. They're probably on the LSU now with a couple of losses, tough. And you guys still have to play Texas A&M, who's the only one
Texas in the last game,
undefeated in the conference right now. So,
yes, sir. Oh yeah, man. So
but you've met Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. That is a pretty good benefit that you have 2 outstanding quarterbacks. What can you tell me about those things?
Heaven of a benefit. I mean, look, to have a 1 and a 2 of that caliber is a luxury, and we have it. And Arch is back there. I'm sure he's pushing Quinn. Quinn. Look, it's his team right now. He is the quarterback. He's a great talent. I like when he steps up because a lot of those rushes against Georgia did come from the edge. Now, we had a lot of rushes against Michigan that came from the edge. What Quinn did really well is he stepped up in the pocket to elude those outside rushes and made a lot of completions when he stepped up 4 steps rather than being caught in the back, which he didn't do as much against Georgia in that D-line.
Right.
I'd like to see him continue to get more comfortable doing that, which he has shown that he's gotten more comfortable. I'd just like to see even more of it. Yeah,
it's definitely a pretty good problem to have, I would say, the 2 quarterbacks like that. You made news. I don't know if you meant to make news talking about that Georgia game when you were, discouraging fans from throwing things on the field. Was this a selfish mission you were on because you were sick and tired of getting hit in the head with a Gatorade bottle, as you are often on the sidelines? Or
no, I was on the far sideline, so it had nothing to do. And then there's nothing about to hit my head.
Okay.
It's just look, it was, as I said, BS call. We were all irate. I was on the other side of the sideline, jumping up and down, calling out the wazoo, going, no way. Did you just see the replay? The guy Barron's 4 feet away from him. Just a horrible call. At the same time, look, there's unsaid rules of certain class that there's no need to go. There's no need to litter the field and go bush league on something like that.
Right.
Now, what does that mean? Did the refs changing the call back, which it was the right to change the call? That is a discussion. Why did they change it? When did they decide to change it? Was it seeing the replay? You don't want to believe, and I don't believe that a narrative is, oh, well, if they make a bad call, you trash the field, they'll change it. I don't believe that, but I don't see a place for that in college football. There's other leagues or places where that may be part of part of the game plan and part of the fan experience, but not at University of Texas. And I think we all know that. It was just everyone was caught up in the moment, got caught up in the emotion, and that's what happened.
Speaking of getting caught up in the moment, I go back and forth around the office. We talk about this. Rushing the field after a win. I used to have a rule, whether it's college basketball, college football, you got to be a double-digit underdog and playing a top-5 team to do it. Otherwise, we're getting a little bit weird. Some of these favorites are running on the field. My son goes to Oregon. He did it against Ohio State. He's like, come on, Dad, I'm having fun. I'm like, yeah, but you were a 3-point underdog. I have these really weird, archaic rules. How do you feel about that?
Look, I hear you. You can't start, charging the field for every damn victory. You got it. Those have to be. They'll lose their security. They won't be as special. But look, right, man, you get to an end of that Oregon game where it's that tight and it could go either way. And thankfully, as an Oregon fan, you have a Will Howard that takes 2 extra steps before he slides for the game-winning field goal. I'm supposing your idea to rush the field is not something you're thinking about. It's something you just damn well did because you were caught up in it. So I'm like, go for it. Look, college sports, college athlete, college football. It's like I said earlier, greatest form of tribalism we got going on the earth. Maybe rush it, go for it, man.
Really?
Yeah, I'm for it. I think that kind of excitement, that kind of emotion, that kind of release, enjoy it. I love seeing it.
All right, you might have felt differently if you were on the field and Texas had beaten Georgia and you're clinging to the goalpost for dear life as these fans try pawing at you. But no, I get it.
I've been down there in the middle of it at the end of some games where there was field rush.
Nice.
And I've been surrounded by the enemy's fans. I've been surrounded by Longhorn fans, and both experiences worked for me.
You've survived, yeah. You had a very funny commercial you do with Uber Eats with Christian McCaffrey and Jerry Rice. Yeah. And I don't even know if you guys were trying to make a real point, but boy, did it hit hard. I do think the NFL is trying to make us fat. I think I'm living proof. I'm nervous about my pools and my team and my bets, and I'm taking a bite of something between every play. Did this resonate with you? You're not fat, but did this jump off at the script at you? Like, yes, we have to do this.
Look, it was just damn funny. And the creative at Uber came with some ideas, and they were allowed me to throw some of my own in there.
Nice.
It's fun to go back, and I had to do McConaughey. I had to do the "Come on, McCaffrey," and he had to throw back the "Come on, McConaughey."
Yeah.
I threw in a little bit of that. One take, I did I thought you went to Stanford, which I thought was a nice dig.
Right.
And then the refrigerator Perry kind of throwing off. Got to throw that one off the cuff. I just thought it was funny, and the 60-second ad's great. And hopefully we might we're talking about hopefully another creative. It'd be nice to do another one of those. It seems like people dig it. I think it's funny as hell. McCaffrey was really good in it, and Jerry was really good in it too.
It's good. It's tough to do a funny commercial these days. There's a lot of criticism, and people are jaded, but you pulled it off for sure. It's the best one of the year.
I think we did, yeah.
All right, Matthew, I've got one more question for you, and this is important. We call it Cousins Conundrum.
Cousins Conundrum.
You find out you have a year of eligibility. You join the Longhorns team as a 5th-string receiver. There are some injuries, so you get a chance to play, and Quinn Ewers throws you the game-winning pass in the national title game. Do you take that deal if it means for the rest of your life you have to wake up to Boomer Sooner, the Oklahoma fight song, as your alarm?
Hell yeah, I can deal with a little bit of ear noise and ear crap for making the winning catch from Quinn in the end zone with the national championship. I think I can put up with that easy.
Okay. I mean, you don't like the song, right? You must.
No, I don't like the song, but I'd find some other jig to it, and hell, I'd make new lyrics to it in Spanish or something.
You'd sing it from bed? All right.
Yeah.
In Spanish.
I'll turn that around. Actually, yeah, what I'll do is I'll hook it up to my TV, so every time my alarm goes off, that play replays on the TV, so I can look at that and go, worth putting up with, isn't it?
Wow, look at that. What you're like an entrepreneur. I hadn't even thought of that. Wow, you made it very, very easy on yourself. Matthew, thanks a lot. You could get Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights, in paperback November 12th. And, of course, grab a bottle of his delicious Pantalones tequila. Hey, if Texas wins a national championship, you'll come back with a tequila shot or 3 with us, right?
No, come back with a bottle.
There you go. Excellent. All right, we'll be right back on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend with Brother Brian. Welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. How do we follow up Hollywood A-lister Matthew McConaughey? Well, we're going to do it with a Long Island A-lister from the Against All Odds podcast. People magazine voted him the sexiest member of the D3 alive. Brother Brian is here. What's happening, Brother Brian?
What's going on, buddy? I think that's accurate. I mean, real big drop off from McConaughey to me. That's like me going to Harry, I would say.
Okay, all right. And then Harry, well, there's no level down from that. Yeah, so you're good. Brian, Matthew, I call him Matty now. Matty McConaughey. Yeah. Because we're close buddies. He was telling us the Incredible Hulk was one of his go-to Halloween costumes, as well as Hall of Fame running back John Riggins. What about you? Any memorable Halloween costumes over the years?
Well, Sal, we were a big horror movie family. So it was always, when I was a kid, it was always Mike Myers, Freddy Krueger, or Jason. I just rotated those characters like, multiple times there. And my parents were too cheap to really buy me jerseys. So I never got a chance to do a Riggins or any other. That was it.
You didn't learn the intricacies of robbing a Modell's until you were well into your teens. All right, let's get into these games coming off of Halloween. Speaking of scary, the 2-6 Patriots at the 1-6 Titans. Woof. There are a couple games I don't know what to do with, and this is one of them. We're starting with this is the junk drawer of the House NFL. I don't know. I did, but one's 1-6 against the spread. One's 2-5-1 against the spread. Even against a number, they're not good. I did predict the Pats upset last week over the Jets, and now maybe it's time to going back to being soft, like Coach Mayo actually said. I don't love the player props. I'm going to go Tennessee over 20.5. Oh, really? I'm doing this? I'm betting Mason Rudolph to put up 21 points with this Titans offense. They haven't done this in a month, and they haven't done it at all at home. I know I'm making a great case here so far. But they break out for 1 week. Pat's defense has given up 21+ in 5 of the last 6 games. Aaron Rodgers twice, which is pathetic. On the road, 86 points in 3 games. That's right around 29. Titans' pass defense is number 1 in the league. They force a turnover or 2. They get good field position. Tough spot for Drake May if he returns, or Brissett. Titans win 26-22 maybe. I don't want to worry about a backdoor cover here, so I'm going to bet Titans over points.
That's way too high scoring for me, because I'm going to go under 38.5 here. And while the Pats offense is much better with May, they're still only averaging 15.5 points per game on the season. And we don't even really know the status right now of Drake May. And one thing I will say is these Patriots receivers just keep dropping the ball all over the place. So Tennessee's offense, though, just as bad. They've only scored over 17 points once this season. And that was the Dolphins game, Sal, where they only had 240 yards. So I think these teams are both comparable, both bad offensively, so I'm going to take the under 38.5.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's better probably for your sanity to bet the under in this kind of game, and maybe this one too. I don't know, we're starting off with the 2 worst games. New Orleans, 7-point favorite at Carolina. I looked at this line on Sunday. I said, New Orleans -7. It's ridiculous. They shouldn't give anyone 7. I forgot Derek Carr was coming back, and then I said, well, how much does that matter? And then I realized it doesn't matter. You can Martindale double-digit loss projections for Carolina for as long as you want. You're going to hit eventually, and probably hit this Sunday, and that's what I'm doing. I'm taking the Saints adjusted -9.5. You get a plus number for that. Players are crying about teams running up the game on Carolina, Brian. Well, I don't know what anyone's supposed to do. Over the last year and a half, the Panthers have 13 losses by 14 or more points, and they have 4 of those in a row. So sign me up for another. They already laid down to the Saints 47-10 in week 1. It's going to happen again, getting plus money with the adjusted number. And if I lose, I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm going to run it back next week. Saints 29-15.
2 brutally bad teams, Sal. I'm taking the Panthers under 17.5. In Bryce Young's 3 full games he's played this season, the Panthers have only scored a combined 27 points. He was awful in the first meeting in this game. I just don't see them getting to 17, so I'm taking the under 17.5.
All right. I'm with you. Baltimore 9.5. They're home against Denver. Weird game last week for Baltimore. Weird games all year for Denver. This is another I'm smarter than you pick, which almost always works out for me. I'm going Denver fourth quarter. Now, they haven't even played the game yet, Brian, you understand. And I'm picking Denver to win the fourth quarter, or actually they're getting 1.5 so they could tie or lose 7-6 in the fourth quarter. Over the last 4 weeks, the Ravens defense has allowed 57 fourth quarter points. That's 14 a game. This is an arranged marriage. Sight unseen, Bri. I'm taking the fourth quarter plus 1.5 to backdoor this for Knicks, or, I think the only situation I'm in bad shape here is if like Denver's up 10 or more points in the fourth quarter, then the Ravens stage a comeback, but I don't think so. He's a better second half quarterback. Bo Nix is 2 touchdowns in the first half, 6 in the second. Unless, like I said, Denver's up 17 the fourth, this is a winner. Give me the fourth quarter bet. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like that a lot, but I'm going to take the Broncos plus 9.5. They're 6-2 against the spread on the season, and while they really haven't beaten a good team, they still have won 5 of their last 6. The defense has been great, Sal. Nick's had his best game of the season last week, and the Ravens defense really worries me right now. They've been bad for 4 straight weeks, so I think 9.5 points is way too many, so I'm going to go with the Broncos, Sal.
All right, speaking of bad defenses, I think the team you root for is one of them here. Cincinnati is 7.5-point favorite, 46.5. Vegas comes to town. I'm going over 46.5. You're 2-6 Raiders at the 3-5 Bengals. Lou Anarumo's 24th ranked defense has not been great for the Bengals. You keep waiting for it to step up. I don't think that it will. Vegas, 26 points per game. That's 27th in the league. The over has hit in each of the last 6 Bengals games against a bottom 10 defense. And Brian, I won't say it to Max Crosby's face, but you have a bottom 10 defense you root for there. 28-23 final for the Bengal Cats. I'm going over. What do you like?
All right, I like that. I'm going to take Brock Bowers anytime TD at plus 220. While he only has 1 touchdown on the season, Sal, he has 52 catches and 535 yards in 8 games for a rookie, which is really unheard of. And this Bengals defense, they've been very bad at home. They're giving up the 7th most receiving yards to tight ends. They've given up 4 touchdowns to tight ends. Bowers remains the one Raider that's producing. I think he has a big game here, Sal. So I would take him at plus 220, which is a good number.
Brian, I feel like I'm looking at the banners behind you. If we could take a break here. Your head is covering the Knicks, right? So it really just appears like
swap
Yankees,
them out.
Raiders, and Islanders, who I think are on a skid. I don't know.
Really bad. Really bad.
Goodness.
I'll swap I really wanted to put something on that Yankee.
Send someone for a home makeover or something there. All right. Chargers minus 1.5, 42.5. They're at Cleveland. The 1.5, the dreaded 1.5. There you go. It's an oddly compelling game, but it's hard to root for either offense to score. So I'm going under 42.5. Both seem to be going through the motions every time they have a possession. I do like Cleveland's ability to score more now since that overpriced Lamborghini has been shipped to the shop there. I'm going to take the under. The under has hit in 12 of the last 13 Chargers games when they're favored. Dicker, the kicker, is all of a sudden the star of this team. Harbaugh setting everything up for him. I feel like this is a 17-14 type game, under 42.5. First half under, first quarter under, whatever you want to do there. What do you like?
I'm going to go with Jameis Winston under 244.5 passing yards. Look, he threw for 330 yards last week, but that Baltimore defense had really been struggling. This Chargers defense, one of the better teams against the pass, only giving up 193 yards per game. Like you said, Sal, I think this is a very low-scoring game. 244.5 yards is just too many for Jameis here, so I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, maybe the Jameis might be giving Jameis a little too much love coming into this one. All right, Buffalo 5.5-point favorite home against Miami. Remember, they beat them up on that Thursday night game. Not a good one for Tua. Now they're back. I'm going to take Miami plus 5.5. I have same game parlay with this coming up in a minute. It's a weird pick coming from me, and I love this Bills team. But I'm buying low on the Dolphins plus 5.5. First of all, it's supposed to be 55 degrees for that game. If it dips below 53.5 degrees, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with this. But for now, this is the and one game for Tua, right? He came back, he was still a little injured, little woozy, right, from that concussion. So he had his game against the Cardinals, not great. This is it. He shakes off the rust, keeps it close. He was 28 for 38 for 234 last week, which was fine. But I think Buffalo might be taking this team for granted. After they blew them out, they have a 4-game lead in the division. There's not a lot of data supporting the Dolphins in terms of trends, but I think they run the ball. Bill's still missing a guy on defense, guy or two. Probably win, but I think it'll be close this time. I'm going to say 23-19.
All right, let's go. For me, I'm going to go Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns. A parlay kid special here. He's been phenomenal, Allen, so far. And Cooper hasn't even need to do that much. But you look, a healthy Shakir, Coleman, Kincaid. The offense is starting to look better, more balanced maybe than in prior years. Allen has 3 straight games with 2 passing touchdowns. Aside from the first meeting this season, Allen has just dominated the Dolphins here. So I think he goes over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
All right, let's do this. I would like to skip it. Can we skip the Atlanta-Dallas game? Can we just go? There's so many other games. Let's do it. Atlanta's home. This is a 3-point favorite, 51.5. I gave out Pitts over receiving yards in the Wager Rager. I feel like this is a must-win for the Cowboys. I did plot it out. I said they have to get 1 of the 3 against San Francisco, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, and they did. But I also think they have to beat the remaining NFC South teams. And look at that. Atlanta's right there in the NFC South. They already lost to the Saints. So I know it's a road game, but serious panic sets in if they embarrass themselves this week. And I don't care if Atlanta's in first place in that garbage heap division. Dak prop here. That's what I'm going. This is how confident I am in the team. I'm taking Dak to have 38 or more attempts. He's done this in 4 of his last 5 games. He's usually around 40 or 41. Baker had 50 attempts against Atlanta. Dalton at 38. Mahomes had 39. Let's face it, the Cowboys will probably play from behind, and they have no running game to speak of, including Dak himself, who refuses to take off. I'm going to go 38 or more attempts for Dak Prescott. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons -3. And I think the Cowboys, they've struggled with offenses like the Falcons, right? Teams that run the ball well, have a lot of play action off of it. And right now, I think the Falcons just have more weapons on offense, a healthier squad. I really wish this was still a 2.5 line, but I'll still lay the 3, Sal.
All right. Washington, 3.5 at the New York Giants. This is the last early afternoon game. 44.5 is the over-under. What do we feel about Washington in general? Do we like, nothing stopping this team? They have that Hail Mary? Or do we feel like, they're leveling off a little bit offensively? They're not the team that punts once every 3 games. I'm not even going to let you answer. I feel like they are leveling off a little. They were very lucky to pull out that victory. Now they settle into these division games. They beat the Giants by 3 earlier in the season without scoring a touchdown. I think it was 21-18. The Giants didn't have a kicker. There was all sorts of craziness. But even with that win, Washington 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 against the Giants. A little revenge, or at least the Giants play tough. Jones gets some relief running from defenders. Giants actually have 13 more sacks than the Commanders do. 21-19 final. Give me the New York Football Giants.
And I'm going to take Malik Neighbors over 22.5 longest reception in this one. Since Neighbors came back from injury, he hasn't had that explosive play down the field, but it's coming. He started off the first 4 games of the season. He had some big plays down the field. In that Commanders game, the first time they met, he had 127 yards on 10 catches, including a 28-yard reception. So I think there's another very big play in this game for him. So I'm going to go over the 22.5 longest reception for Neighbors.
I do like that. Neighbors is a stud. All right, Bri, we're going to do this again. We have to take a quick break. We're going to hit the rest of Week 9, including the receiverless Tampa Bay Bucks trying to hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season on Monday night. That's all next on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. All right, welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. We're here with Brother Bri. The mini Kit Kat high is starting to wear off. No time to waste. Let's knock out the rest of Week 9. The Bears, coming off some Hail Mary misery, head to Arizona, take on the technically first place Cardinals. Bri. Tough loss for the Bears in D.C. Big win at home for Arizona. Our friend Harry did not watch against the Chargers. He will not pay the extra $4 a month. Sorry to watch that. It was not a very exciting game. Like I said, they're technically in first place, Arizona. I'm going to go with a teaser here. Chicago plus 7.5, over 38.5. I have to fit one teaser in, right? I'll allow myself. It's like a shot of wild turkey. I don't even drink. But the Bears, not great on the road, but their defense is what I want to talk about. 4th best overall. They've cut down opponents' red zone success by 30%, which is spectacular. Arizona, on the other hand, allows 2.64 points per drive. That's 31st in the league. And both quarterbacks have decent games. I think the Bears keep it close. They play tough for Eberflus after a loss. I'm teasing Chicago in the over 24-19. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cardinals, Sal, at -1.5 here. Both teams, I think, are very similar, right? And I'm not sure if either of these teams or both of these teams are phony right now, but they're both enjoyable to watch. And while the Bears have had some good offensive performances, I think the Cardinals have had the more impressive wins. So I'm going to back Kyler and the Cardinals at -1.5.
All right. Philly home for Jacksonville. This was originally the Sunday night game. They're like, nah, sorry, Jacksonville, you're not good enough. I'm taking them, though. +7.5 and a hook. 45.5 is the over-under, but I'm taking the +7.5 with Jacksonville. It's another why the F am I doing this bet. Philly seems settled. They're running the ball. They had 65 points over the last 2 games. They're playing defense. They're healthy. But unlike your Raiders, Bri, I think Jacksonville's like a 2-6 team that's kind of decent and going to give opponents fits from time to time, and sports bettors alike. I'm selling high on Philly and buying on Doug Peterson against his old team. Did I really just say that? Yeah. Lawrence and the offense showed some fight against Green Bay last week. Jalen Hurts hasn't covered his last 5 games at home. Make it 6, 21-17. I like the under as well, but I'm going to take Jacksonville in the points. What do you like?
I'm going to go with the under 8.5 in the first quarter, Sal. And look, both of these teams have gotten off to extremely slow starts. It's pretty insane to think the Eagles have yet to score in the first quarter this season in 7 games. Really wild. And then Jacksonville, on the other hand, only scored 3 total points in the first quarter over their last 4 games. So will one of these teams score in the first? Probably. But I'm baking that both of them don't. So give me the under 8.5 first quarter. So I think that's a good
really like that. I really like that. That's good. And that's about even odds? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to jump on that.
Yep.
Can we stop the recording so I could bet this before? All right, we'll keep it going. Rams -1.5, 48.5 at Seattle. Another weird 1.5 spookiest line out there day after Halloween. And FanDuel has the Rams favored. This Seattle team is interesting, right? Kenneth Walker is tough. I have him in our Guillotine Fantasy League. R.I.P. Paul Rudd. Bry's email buddy now. Walker, out of all the great backs, he's such a wild card, right? He's not been productive for them, at least not steadily. Seattle in division, not great either. 8 games under 500 over the last decade, and home field may be a disadvantage. They lost their last 3 by a total of 42 points, and you can include the Giants in that mix, which is ridiculous. I like the McVay-Stafford combo going forward. Rams take this 24-19, lay that evil 1.5 points. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like the Rams here, Sal, too, but I'm going to go with Kyron Williams over 86.5 rushing yards. Last week I went under with them, but I like the over here. The Seahawks defense has been terrible against the run. Cook went for 111 yards last week. Bijan went for 103 the week before. San Francisco rushed for 225 yards the week before that. I can keep going back as far as I want. Tracy on the Giants had like 120-something yards against them as well. So Williams has been very good for the last 5 games. So I think he easily goes over the 86.5 rushing yards.
All right, Detroit 2.5. This went down. It was 3.5, 48.5 at Green Bay. So this tells me they think for sure Jordan Love is going to play, and it's a good one as long as he does. He's determined after exiting early last week. I'm still taking Detroit. Might be a biggish number to lay on the road in a division game, but they are a true scoring machine with 172 points over the last 4 weeks. That's 43 a game. Special teams is scoring. Goff couldn't throw an incomplete pass if he tried. Green Bay's been gutty, and kudos to Coach LaFleur for rallying this team to an outstanding record. But Campbell's been a beast of a coach too. No letdown. Lions 6-1 against the spread this year and 3-0 against the number on the road. I think they're on too much of a roll, and I don't know what we're going to get out of Love, to be honest. 29-21 Lions. Bri, this is where you stack all your blackjack chips, right? Yes. Lions win, and you look over and Bry's got his whole head is covered. You can't even see it. It's so high.
Yes, that's what would happen, right? And then I would lose it all in the next one. But yeah, I'm going to take Detroit first quarter winner at -144. We really don't know. I know what you're saying. Jordan Love is probably playing here, but it's either Jordan Love who's compromised or Malik Willis. And the thing is, look, the Lions right now, they're flying on all cylinders. I think Goff has been almost perfect in these games. I think they come out very hot on this one on the road. So I'll take the Lions to win the first quarter at -144. Worst case, I feel like it's maybe a push here.
That's a good one. Minnesota. Now, this is the Sunday night game, flexed into the spot. Jacksonville, Philly out. They say Minnesota, Indianapolis in Minnesota. You come in. The Vikings are a 5.5-point favorite. 46.5 is the over-under. I'm taking the Colts plus the big number here. The league said, okay, Colts, you could play, but we can't showcase Anthony Richardson. I'm sorry, you have to put in Flacco. Dear friend of the show, but Flacco right now is a better choice. He didn't seem ready. Richardson, he was 2 for 15 at the half, and that wasn't cutting it. So Flacco takes over. He's 6-1 against the spread in the last 7. A lot of fun to watch. I think the Vikings are sliding a little. 5-2. Their defense is a little bit soft in the last couple of weeks. They allowed 61 points in the last 2 weeks. Flores gets them to play a respectable 60 minutes. Vikings win, but don't cover 26-23. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm going to take a Jonathan Taylor anytime touchdown at +105. Look, we saw Kyron Williams score on the Vikings last week. Gibbs the week before had 2 touchdowns on them, dominated that game. And with Flacco in this game, I really think that benefits Taylor a lot here. And Taylor has scored 5 touchdowns in 5 games so far this season. He has a score in 3 straight here. So I'll take him at +105 here. So
all right, it's a good one. Monday night, Kansas City, 8.5-point favorite. 45.5 is the over-under. Tampa Bay comes to town. This line is much higher than I thought it would be. Baker, who would have thought? Baker has 21 touchdown passes and Mahomes has 8. 21-8, and the Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite. There's no injuries in there. I mean, what year, what century is this? Baker's down to Evans and Godwin. That's probably why the number is so high, but he still had 330 yards and 2 touchdown passes. I'm not going to worry about the line. I'm going with my favorite, my new favorite bet, Mahomes, over 4.5 carries. It's a big vig, but go get it. Carries, not yards. 5+ rushes in 5 straight games. The Bucs have allowed quarterbacks to run. Lamar, Bo Nix, and Hurts all had 8 or 9 carries. I have to mention the potential kneel downs at the end of the games count in your favor in this case. I'm taking Chiefs. Not the Chiefs necessarily, but Mahomes over 4.5 carries, 5 or more. I'm doing it again, Bri. Big vig, but big win here. What do you like?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to take Tampa +8.5. Like I will be honest here. I struggle with these Kansas City games. I think we all kind of do. It's hard to tell week to week because we know Kansas City's better. Just they love playing these close games, right? They only care about winning. We saw last week the Raiders backdoor covered. I could see this very same thing happening this week with Baker. I could see them down 10 or 14. Late in this game, and then Baker drives him touchdown to get this within 3 or 7 here. So I'll take the 8.5.
All right, Brian. Great job, pal. Listen, go celebrate by stealing a fistful of your kids' Halloween milk duds before they get home from school, all right?
Thanks, buddy.
You got it. We're going to be right back to wrap things up on Cousin Sal's winning weekend. All right, welcome back. Before we go, let's make like Jaden Daniels and use every last second to throw out a same-game winning parlay. Hey, I almost won last week. Was only 5 Jamar Chase receiving yards short of cashing. FanDuel gave me nothing. Very, very sad. This week, we're hitting the Dolphins-Bills game, and I'm zagging here. I'm not rooting for a lot of offense. Under 47.5 adjusted total points. Finns keep it close. I'm taking them +10.5. Shakir, under 4.5 receptions. And on the other side, we'll root for some offense and Tyreek Hill to bust out with at least 40 yards receiving. This masterpiece pays close to 5-1 odds. Head to FanDuel Sportsbook. Use your favorite thumbs to put this in and tell them your pal Sal sent you. My thanks to Matthew McConaughey. I'm off. Going to enroll at University of Texas just so I could take his class and we could talk sports betting all day. You can watch my full interview with him on the Ringers YouTube page. Thanks to Brother Bry for teaching his own masterclass on picking NFL winners. And most importantly, thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And please always remember, you may feel like an underdog, but just know you're all my favorites. Happy handicapping.